Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the home stretch. Welcome to Sool Radio Oscar Roundup. I'm Dan Carlin. With me, as always, is librarian, movie fan, and host of the podcast. Did you do your homework and love ya? Martha Sullivan, how's the moving process going?
It's going pretty well. We moved all of our furniture today. So we've still got some odds and ends left at the apartment. But for the most part, we're in the new house. It's really exciting.
I think that we witnessed personal evolutions throughout the series. Not only are you in a new house, I am finally at man bun level. So
I was wondering if I should comment about that.
It would have been weird if you didn't.
Fair enough. I will say that I'm having a very good hair day today. I don't always feel like that. It has been almost a year since my last haircut.
Well,
thank you. The long hair is still something that I've kind of been getting used to during the pandemic, but
cool.
Yeah, more often than not, I like it.
I haven't gotten a haircut since before the pandemic. You know, for a while I was just buzzing my own head until it was just short and even, and then about a year ago I was like, what if I just stopped doing that and saw what happened? Now I stand in the mirror for 3 hours a day reciting, excuse me, what IPAs do you have on tap? And that grew. So
it's good to be in practice for your chosen role.
Yeah. Excuse me, have you seen last night's episode of fucking Euphoria?
I was gonna say, what are the hipsters watching these days?
I have to assume it's Euphoria.
Fair enough.
Atlanta, I don't know.
I'm still catching up on Ted Lasso, so I am like way behind.
Nice. I'm rewatching Atlanta because the new season comes on tomorrow. So
very exciting.
Yeah, I know. 4-year gap between seasons 2 and 3. I thought it was bad with The Sopranos with like the year and a half we had to deal with. Anyway,
is Atlanta on FX?
It's on FX.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the one with Donald Glover and Lakeith Stanfield, and literally the entire supporting cast got Oscar nominations between 2 and 3. Actually, nice. Yeah, Brian Tyree Henry, Lakeith Stanfield, Zazie Beetz, all Oscar nominees since.
All fantastic.
Yeah, all since the last episode of Atlanta officially aired. So it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, we are dealing with Belfast today. So Belfast is the semi-autobiographical film directed by Kenneth Branagh. It stars Judi Dench, Jamie Dornan, Katrina B. And it is it chronicles the life of a working class family and their young son's childhood during the tumultuous time of the late 1960s in the Northern Ireland capital. It very heavily features, the fallout from what was going on between the Catholics and the Protestants back then. It is backdropped by an almost exclusively Van Morrison themed soundtrack. How'd you feel about the film as a whole?
I thought it was surprisingly unambitious for Kenneth Branagh. Like, normally I enjoy his work quite a bit. I think he's a very entertaining director. This one I found to be kind of trite. I thought that the cinematography is doing some interesting things, but in terms of like story and script and all of that, I thought it was kind of a bizarre choice to set this movie during the Troubles in Ireland and then not really shed any light or provide any insight on like what that meant for Branagh's like childhood stand-in. The kind of response to that criticism that I've seen is that because the movie is supposed to be from the point of view of this little kid, that like that's why we're getting a really simplified version of what's going on. I think that that's lazy. I think that there was a way. The cat would like to express her opinion. I I think there could have been a way to present the story from the point of view of this little kid while also providing like insight and context as to what's going on. Um, I don't know if you watched Jojo Rabbit from a couple of years ago, but that I thought was a really good example of how to tell a story from a child's point of view while also like making sure that I, as the audience member, like have context for what's happening. And I
Sure.
just don't think we got that here.
From what I've read, from all accounts regarding Brana's approach to the film, what I believe it was a combination of looking at those events through the lens of a child, and it was also Brana trying to make a film that reminded him of how it felt going to the movies back in the 1960s. And that's where a lot of the black and white came into play. It's where a lot of the, soft-spoken dialogue came into play. It almost like, regardless of the context, it still felt like a safer environment because that was a sanctuary. Like,
well, and I will say, a lot of those aspects that you're pointing out, I did enjoy. Like, I liked the black and white. I generally enjoyed the performances. The delivery I thought was very good.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think the movie did the work to kind of give me any sort of emotional anchor into what was happening. Like I think about the mother character, and how she expresses several times during the movie, like, I don't want to leave Belfast. Like, this is where our kids, like, the neighborhood knows them, everyone watches out for them. So like,
right.
She is telling me that she feels very emotionally connected to this place, but I don't think the movie ever actually shows me that. Like, yeah, and my reaction to hearing her say that was just kind of like, why? All we've seen is how this is like a really dangerous environment for your kids, and your husband just got a super sick job offer that you're like not excited about taking. I don't know. There was a pretty severe emotional disconnect for me, which kept me from feeling empathetic towards her because I just didn't understand her motivations frequently.
Yeah, a lot of dialogue exposition dumps as opposed to actually seeing what was going on.
Yeah, like first she talks about how everyone in the neighborhood watches out for her kids, and then we watch her youngest get pulled into a riot and ransacking of the supermarket. Like, I think that there is a way to juxtapose those two things. Like, there's a way to show her familial connection to this neighborhood while also showing that it has turned into a very dangerous place for her kids to be. But again, I don't think the movie did that work.
And there are like aspects of surrealism, worked in, even with just like the use of color for a split second in like a couple of frames where it's not completely grounded in reality. We're not stuck in one scene in real time. Whereas if we were, that could have been almost like an explanation as to why we didn't see as much backstory as much as we were told it.
How did you feel about this one?
I still don't know. I feel like I should have liked it, and I don't think I disliked it, if that makes any sense.
I thought that the music video sequences were fun to watch.
Yeah, like it had a very similar tone to West Side Story and way less musical numbers, and it was also way less lively. You know what it reminded me of tonally, even though it's a completely different machine altogether? You ever see Letterkenny on Hulu?
Texas Size 10-4.
Yeah, there you go. It reminded me of Letterkenny for two very specific reasons: the uses of symmetry in their cinematography. So where like you'll notice either it'll be two characters off to the side and then something kind of like balancing them out. Very wide shots that hold for a long time, as well as characters who don't really move very much. And you mainly just see their heads moving slightly and their mouths moving.
Yeah, it almost reminded me, like, this almost could have been a stage play.
Absolutely.
And I don't know that is I don't think that that's like, I'm not leveling that as a criticism, just sort of an observation. Yeah, my favorite parts about this were how it was filmed. I thought there was some really interesting things going on with like camera movement and character positioning. When they choose to do like a really tight shot on someone's face versus when the camera pulls back and like almost gives you a silhouette. One of the last shots of the whole movie is just a very tight focus on Judi Dench's face as she delivers her final monologue. Judi Dench. Yeah, her final monologue to like directly to the audience through the camera, and I thought that was very affecting.
Somebody blended as a GIF that shot, and then it transitions to a very similar shot of her character in Cats.
Incredible.
It was kind of great, and I meant to send it to you and I forgot. But I thought Judi Dench was great. I actually thought the performances in general were, pretty high caliber as well. Looking up the actresses, I know you are. I thought the child actor was about as top notch as it gets.
See, I was just about to say that I didn't love the little kid, but I think that's because that might be just a me problem. I think he reminded me of like 17 other little kid actors without feeling distinctive in and of himself. But I'm also not going to be too critical of him because he's a child.
Yeah. I didn't get full on Jake Lloyd, this child should not be in this film vibes, but
oh, poor Jake Lloyd.
He hung out in my dorm building a lot that year. I was in the dorms at Columbia. Really? We'll talk off the record about that.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I thought that the parents were great. I think that they were giving as good of a performance as they could with material that I wish had been better for them. Jamie Dornan, the father, has a couple of lines where I was just like, why did we think that was a good thing for you to say? At one point Katrina's last name is Belfors. I don't watch Outlander, so I'm having trouble remembering.
Belfie.
Yeah. At one point, Jamie Dornan tells her, like, you raised two good kids. And I'm like, they're still children. Like, you're not done raising them. And it's
unless you stop raising a child when they're 7. And, it's the 60s. Maybe you put them in the workforce at that point. Who knows? But
it just seemed like such a weird thing for him to say. And just like, we get that he's been an absent father. I didn't really need that kind of extra, like, and I haven't been here reinforcement.
Which is why I think it feels as much like a stage play as it does, because of that dialogue exposition, which because during a stage play, you're in a static set, there's only so much you can do at any given time. And so that's just kind of what you're limited to. And we as the audience accept that and soldier on. And, that's the point I have.
Yeah. And I also like the Troubles in Ireland is a sort of a historical period that I know exists. I don't know a whole lot about it. And I didn't feel this movie really cared to illuminate or explain anything about that. And we didn't even get, usually in a movie like this at the beginning, we'll get like a 3-sentence, like, the Troubles was a period in Ireland from we would normally get like an opening or closing statement just about the historical period that the movie is taking place during, and Belfast did not care to do that for us.
Or even like a standalone monologue like we got at the beginning of Power of the Dog.
Yeah, and so like I looked it up on Wikipedia because again, it's a period in time that I'm aware of but don't know a whole lot about. And one of the things that immediately stood out to me is that when we're talking about the distinction between Catholics and Protestants during this time, it is not actually so much about religion as it is about like class and political affiliation. And that is not something that I would have understood from the movie at all.
No, and maybe I'll often commend pieces of filmmaking that will like include certain context in the backdrop without deliberately explaining it to them, so long as if I don't enjoy the film, if I don't enjoy the film less for not knowing it, but if I enjoy it more for knowing it, like I think that's how you do it right. And I think that's what they tried for, and I think they missed the mark on that.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed more weight to this. Like I am a person that believes that movies don't need to be as long as they are. This one I thought could have used a little more meat on its bones. There are quite a few like musical montage moments in this movie for it only being like 96 or 97 minutes long, which seemed like a weird choice for how to use their space.
Yeah, and the musical numbers they feel so sporadic and almost like you're watching a different program because it doesn't fit with the tone of the rest of the film.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. Like I love a montage.
Yeah.
But my favorite scene in the movie, I think, is the wake after the little boy's grandfather dies. When Jamie Dornan is singing and he and the mother start dancing together. I thought that was a really lovely thing that told me something about the family and also allowed me to see these people like have actual chemistry together. So I appreciated that scene quite a bit.
Definitely. So in addition to being a Best Picture nominee, the film is also up for Best Director, Supporting Actor, Original Screenplay, and Supporting Actress. Do you think Belfast is going to be recognized one way or the other?
It's been picking up some original screenplay award wins recently, which worries me because I didn't think the script was that good. Otherwise, I don't really see this one picking up too much. Who are the other nominees for supporting actress?
Looking that up now.
I should know this by now, and I just don't.
Kristen Dunst's Power of the Dog, Ariana DeBose West Side Story, which
yes,
yeah,
that's why.
Jessie Buckley, The Lost Daughter, Anjanwe Ellis for King Richard, and Judi Dench, who the only way I could see Ariana DeBose not winning this is Judi Dench picking it up as a legacy Oscar, but even that is kind of a long shot.
I feel like she's about due for a Lifetime Achievement Oscar.
Oh,
if she hasn't gotten one already.
Yeah. Ugh. I also there is like a weird thing. There is a weird theory I have just after watching this that I feel like it could upset and possibly pick up Best Picture just because I feel like it's the least polarizing out of all the films.
See, I would have said that for West Side Story. I think I did say that for West Side Story.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah,
I'll argue that Belfast is more. I think it's more Oscar baity than West Side Story, despite West Side Story being a musical.
I think it's the skeleton of an Oscar bait movie. Like this one, I agree, like it's very inoffensive, but because of that, it also feels very forgettable. Like I don't know that people would think about Belfast long enough to not like remember it for nominations.
The similar situation I'm thinking of is when Parasite won best picture, and I think I had heard about that film for the first time maybe the day before the ceremony.
Yeah, but the difference is that Parasite is a really good movie.
That's also true.
Yeah, I would compare Drive My Car as a closer analog to Parasite, although Drive My Car has not been getting, like, Drive My Car isn't as big in the conversation as Parasite was, but that feels a little bit more analogous to me.
Yeah, and I think people were turned off a little more by Drive My Car's length and just it being so
Guys,
dialogue heavy and so reliant on subtitles being a foreign language.
which is a bummer because it's a perfect movie.
It's a great movie. Go check that episode, ladies and gentlemen. Is there anything else? I feel like we're leaving this a little short, but is there anything else? I don't really have much else to add, just not for a lack of trying. I don't have much more to say about it. But do you?
I did think his use of color was interesting because, like, we get whenever Buddy, the little boy, goes to the movies he sees are in color. And I thought that was kind of an interesting choice because, like, in context, he would have gone to the movies to watch them in black and white. And that I thought was a really interesting way, going back to what you had said at the beginning about how Branagh had been trying to make this feel like the experience of going to the movies as a small child. Like, even if you're watching a black and white movie when you're 7, I bet it feels like it's in Technicolor just because you're watching a movie. So I thought that was very fun. I also really enjoyed Judi Dench's character's reaction to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Judi Dench is just like the highlight of everything she's in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just going back to I do find it funny that was, Branagh's attempt, because just remembering so much of my memories as a child being like seeing Wild Wild West in theaters, and Kenneth Branagh famously played the villain in that, who was just like his legs were CGI'd out and replaced by a giant mechanical spider. So
is he the one that had the big ear horn that he unscrewed?
No, he's the one with the mustache and the Southern accent. And
okay. Because there's a character in that movie that had a giant like ear horn that at one point he takes out and empties the earwax out of it. And I think about that at least twice a month as an adult human being. And I have not watched that movie in over 20 years.
He played the president in this fictional universe. And I remember that because I forced my 13-year-old to watch that film just 2 months ago. He did not enjoy it nearly as much as I did.
Well, but see, Matthew's had a chance to watch like good movies.
Yeah, he likes Space Jam, so like I'm halfway there with him.
Old or new?
Both.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I did not elect to watch the new one. I felt that was a sleeping dog that I could let lie.
Matthew actually originally didn't want to go to the theaters for that one. That was going to be mainly a me and Oliver thing, and then he tagged along last minute. But I didn't hate it. I went in understanding I am not the demographic. My blindness from nostalgia, glorifying the first film, is not going to impact my view of this one, and it's also, this one's not going to destroy my view of the first one, and I can just let it be. And from there, it was fine. LeBron is a much more charismatic actor than Michael Jordan is and ever was. And this is coming.
They're not. Michael Jordan's a better basketball player. So
there you go. Boom. Up there. All right, Martha, where can we find you if people are looking for you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow me personally on social media outlets at Magical Martha. You can listen to my podcasts that I do. Did You Do Your Homework, which is a pop culture podcast connecting academic ideas to popular media. And then I record that one with our friend Pete Romberg, and on alternating weeks, I record Love Ya with his wife Marin, which is an exploration into streaming rom-coms and teen cinema.
Fucking A right. There you go. Martha, pleasure as always.
Super fun.
One more left. How do you feel?
The ceremony is just a few days away, and I can't wait.